Watch this video if you want to know the 3 stories we tell retirees to help them stay calm even if they own stocks in retirement. If you've ever felt nervous about owning stocks because you're getting close to retirement, or if you feel like you should become less and less risky as you get close to retirement, then this video is for you. I was talking to Mark the other day, and we were discussing what he should do with some upcoming renewals on some very low risk investments that he had collected from various brokers over the years. He was surprised because I told him that I would take a certain portion of this and put it into cash and fixed income, a smaller portion, and then I would put the majority of it into diversified stocks. And over the phone, he immediately interjected and says, yeah, but can't stocks lose money? I was actually a little surprised because I don't often talk to many people who have spent their entire lifetime avoiding risk and were only in things like CDs and cash and very, very low risk investments, to the exclusion of other tools that a person could use to help them in retirement. So I immediately began to think, how can I help this person's perspective so that he can do better for himself long term? And it's a challenge. It's not easy. Because if we listen to the constant news cycle and we allow the media to train us on investments, we're going to have a very skewed perspective of what real investing means and how to really be successful long term as retirees. We're not going to see it as it really is. We're going to see the market like a casino, when true investing is owning businesses. We're owners of great businesses that have the smartest people in the world working there and creating products and services that people want so that they can make a profit. We're owners of businesses. We're not on the roulette wheel of Vegas. See, the right way to be about investing as a retiree is to have a long-term commitment to a diversified portfolio, because this is our best bet for outpacing inflation, growing our wealth, and just keeping up our lifestyle throughout retirement. Stocks beat cash and bonds in the long run, and stocks are dangerous and volatile in the short run. The wrong way to be about investing in stocks is anything that is, this is hot, you should buy this, anything that feels like pressure, impulse, reacting versus an educated response. So I told Mark, inflation is the issue, and things like CDs and cash have never and probably will never get you a real return above inflation. And so if we are not outpacing inflation, we're actually going backwards. So if you're getting 5% in CDs, that's great for your short-term money. But what if inflation is 3% per year? And what if you're committed to spending 4 or 5% of your assets down every year? Well, you're going to want a nominal return of at least 5%. And to try to continually do that with CDs and things like cash, it's just not going to work. So I told Mark that I would tell him the 3 stories that we tell our clients to help them feel better about owning stocks long-term throughout their retirement. It's a very simple 3 stories that helps people stay committed to stocks for the long term so they can fight against inflation, and so that 10 years doesn't pass them by and they look backwards and their lifestyle gets cut in half. But first, I'm Nick Davis, founder of Brindle Bay Wealth Management. We are a retirement planning and tax planning firm in Texas. We help people all over the place to make peace with their financial plan so they can retire with calmness and clarity. If you like this information, be sure to hit that subscribe button and like the video. Thanks for that. So I'm going to tell you these 3 stories because I hope they help people avoid the pain of having their lifestyle cut in half as time goes on because they were just being overly conservative. We're going to talk about 3 stories. Story number 1 is years of income. Story number 2 is cash cushion. And story number 3 is holding period. So years of income. How many years of income do you have should Armageddon happen? Let's pretend you wake up one day, you no longer believe in your plan, you no longer believe in our system, the economic system in the US, and you just freak out. You don't believe in the 100+ years of historical information we have about the way that the economy and the stock market works. The question is how many years of income would you have before you had to pull from riskier places like stocks. Really simple math. You only need to know two numbers. First thing you need to know is what percentage are you pulling out of your investments each year? And this could be, let's just say 4 or 5%. We'll go with 5% for this example. The second thing you need to know is what percentage of your portfolio is in fixed income or cash. So that could be anywhere from 20% up to 50%, let's say, but your typical portfolio typically has 30 or 40%. So in a classic 60-40 portfolio, that means 60% of your money is in riskier diversified stocks, 40% of your money is in less risky fixed income, cash, or even bonds. So in this example, if you were pulling 5% from your portfolio and you had, let's just say 40% of your money in fixed income or cash, you would divide 40% by 5%. So 40% divided by 5% is 8. And that means you'd have 8 years that you could hypothetically pull only from cash or fixed income to allow things to recover. So if your portfolio is more aggressive, let's say it's an 80-20, where you would take 20% and you would divide that by 5% if you were pulling 5% out. And of course, that number is 4. So you'd have 4 years to allow things to recover. Quick disclaimer, this is not advice for you. This is general information only. So Mark started to see how the idea of having years of income could help him to see that time is on his side. And he'll be encouraged to remember that during those scarier periods throughout his retirement. Now, the next story is the story of cash cushion, and it goes like this. So stocks pay out cash dividends, and bonds do too. And this continues throughout retirement. The S&P 500 has an average yield as of 2024 right now, cash yield of about 1.36%. And a small group of stocks within the S&P 500 are paying out a dividend of more than 3%. Bonds are paying out more than 4% yield. And this is all cash that goes into the portfolio, even in retirement, even when things go down. So between stocks and bonds, let's just take a really low yield as an example. Let's just say 2% yield. So 2% cash is going back into your portfolio every year. And then let's just use simple math. Let's say a $1 million portfolio and a person is taking 5% out per year. So that's $50,000. And that means that on $1 million, 2%, there's $20,000 cash going back into that portfolio, helping with that $50,000 withdrawal, meaning that there's about $30,000 left that would need to come from selling something. Of course, stocks can go up or they can go down that year, but you can see how having this cash cushion helps the portfolio. So first we talk about years of income, then we talk about cash cushion, and then the last story we talk about holding period. So it's the story of the holding period. And holding period is how long you plan on keeping your investments. How long will you need your investments to provide a lifestyle for you? So is your holding period 1 year? Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years? Or likely it's probably more than that, right? Most retirees underestimate their holding period. They also believe the adage that I don't have years to let it recover. I need to be less risky because I'm getting closer to retirement or I'm in retirement. But the truth is that we're only taking a small percentage of the whole every single year. And so sometimes that old adage is kind of skewed. Now, of course, I know you're thinking, well, there's this thing called sequence of returns risk, and that can be a problem. And I'll get to that in a minute. But it can take a lot of pressure off of us as we realize that we need this money to provide for us for 20, 25, or 30 years, because we understand we've got a longer holding period. And that means we're going to have this challenge of inflation, and we need that long-term growth to outpace inflation. Most people at the point of retirement are conditioned that we should have less stocks. But risk is relative to how much money we're taking out. Yes, if you're going to liquidate your entire portfolio within 5 years, then this does not apply to you. But most of us are not in that situation. Most of us need our money to provide for us for a long time. We have the problem of inflation and keeping up our lifestyle. And stocks are the best tool for the job in the long run. So back to Mark, he realizes that his holding period is longer. He's less likely to make short-term mistakes. He sees the long-term threat of inflation and he wants to work against it. As he gets older, the risk of running out actually gets shorter, improving his situation even more. So here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that people should spend money only out of cash anytime the market goes down, right? I'm not saying that. Most people in retirement want a steady, predictable stream of income, and they pay themselves monthly. In practice, we're not trying to juggle which stocks went up and which ones went down and which accounts to pay ourselves from based on the volatility of the market. This gets into the topic of different ways of paying yourself retirement income, which I'm going to address here in a second, because this video is about helping you stay the course long-term with a healthy allocation towards stocks. That's it. Now, regarding your spending strategy and managing the risk of bad sequences of returns, I wrote a paper about that. It's called Modern Guardrails. And if you want to know my favorite way of doing retirement income for retirees, download the paper Modern Guardrails. You can find the link in the video description. So that's it. Let me know if this video helped you with your perspective on owning stocks in retirement. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next video. Hey there, it's Nick again. I wrote something that you might be interested in. If you want to know what my favorite retirement income strategy is for most people or many people, we refer to it as the Money Master Guardrails. If you're contemplating what your income strategy for retirement may look like, I invite you to download a copy of my white paper. Get the insights you need, download a copy today. The link is in the video description.